Trip to the Philippines was the gateway for me to travel elsewhere.
Okay, if you guys are new at this, start with a vacation. Okay, if you guys are new at this, start with a vacation. Just start with a trip here. Okay, if you guys are new at this, start with a vacation. Just start with a trip here. Just feel it out. Just feel it out. If you hate it, don't move on to step two. Just say, that was a trial run, and keep working, But if you don't hate it, it's time to quit your job. And I know it's gonna be tough on some of you,
Not only has my life gotten better, my life expectancy has gone up. Since I got out of that chair, I stopped sitting around, stopped moping around, lost the bad attitude, went from the grumpy old man to the free-spirited world traveler. Hey, Jeff Not Dead Yet Adventures. So I woke up this morning, kind of rolled over, a little achy and sore. I walk outside on the balcony, and I remember Ugly Tourist video from yesterday. And so I listened to it again. And I decided to make my own video and tell you my thoughts on the Ugly Tourist and his video. I think he's one of the best guys I've met on the road, and I think his video's spot on, because my trip to the Philippines was the gateway for me to travel elsewhere. And when he talks about just take a vacation, take a test run, if I was sitting in my chair waiting to die. That's why the Not Dead Yet Adventures. I was sitting in my chair waiting to die for years, just games, drinking nonstop. And, I was just a toxic person doing toxic things. And now, where am I? You don't even know where I am. But it started in the Philippines. And, one of the last times I was there, I met Ugly, and he's a great guy, and his advice is dead on. And he's a real inspiration to me because I was kind of at a low point. I've been traveling for 2 years when I met him, and I kind of accomplished the majority of my goals. I had been places I just dreamed about going, and then I meet Ugly, and he was still living in his luxury trailer there in Florida, and he's like, look, I'm doing this and this and this, and I've watched him the whole time, and watching him go through that process, and watching him have a dream and forge that dream into reality, it's just been a real amazing pleasure to watch. And I think if you pay attention to people like Ugly, the Ugly Tourist, you will see that if they can do it, so can you. And that's kind of been one of the reasons I even pretend to do YouTube, is look, if I can be here at the beach, if I can wake up on the balcony, come out and enjoy this morning, all these sparrows are going nuts here. It's so cool. Why can't you? If you're retired, if you've got a little bit of an income and you're not happy wherever you're at, you don't have to come here and enjoy this beach in the morning. You don't have to go get coffee over here overlooking the water. You don't have to go, do what I'm doing. But if you do have a dream and you're getting long in the tooth, now's the time to figure out the plan to make that dream come true. And it's, what are you waiting for? What are you waiting for? I just don't get it. I just don't get it. But I will say the Philippines is probably one of the best launching pads, the best places to go explore. And I'll sit down. In fact, I'm going over here to get some coffee. I'll sit down and outline my, if I were to write a plan for a stranger who I don't know anything about, but he likes the beach a little bit and he wants to go travel, or even she, I'll write out a little plan. I have a little set plan for a 2-week vacation in the Philippines, or about 2 weeks. And if you're going to tell me you can't afford it, you can't afford it. I'm telling you, in California, I made it a priority. It was important for me to go travel. And guess what? Once I made it a priority, once I set that goal, once I got specific about that goal, I am going to this island, I'm doing this, I'm going to have my coconut with rum on the beach again. I found the money. I cut my budget. I stopped going to drive-through coffee. I stopped doing this. I stopped doing this. And people don't understand how maniacal I was with my budget when I was trying to travel all the time. I was to the point, I had a whiteboard, and I would, on the whiteboard, I'm going shopping on this day. I'm buying these items. It should cost me about this with, a little fluctuation. I'm going shopping on this day. I'm buying these items. It should cost me this. I'm eating this meal 3 times a week, this meal 3 times a week, and then, I had a floater meal, right? I had everything budgeted out to, and I budget in fluctuations and I budget in, variability, but I budgeted everything. And that allowed me, on a very tiny budget, to travel to the Philippines. And then I realized, why am I spending all this money traveling? Why am I spending all this money traveling to get 3 or 4 days in the water swimming and snorkeling? When if I just moved there, I save a ton of money, right? I save a ton of money. And then I realized if I move there, I save a ton of money. Now that money I'm spending on weekend trips or trips to the Philippines, guess what? I can go to Thailand, I can go to Vietnam, I can go to Japan, I can go places I never really thought I could afford to travel to because I was starting in America. When you're starting in America, it just adds a huge, I was just looking at a flight to America right now, and the flight to America is equal to 1 month's rent here. Actually, it's more. I was just offered an apartment for $270 a month, and flight to America, the cheapest I found right now is about $400. So, am I going to spend $450 on a flight, or am I going to spend $270 and stay another month? What would you do? Put yourself in my shoes. Would you stay here for another month, or would you jump a flight back to America? Right? It's just choices. It's just planning. But I'll tell you, not only has my life gotten better, my life expectancy has gone up. Since I got out of that chair, I stopped sitting around, stopped moping around, lost the bad attitude, went from the grumpy old man to the free-spirited world traveler. I gotta tell you, and the people I meet along the way, it's not just ugly. There's a lot of people I meet that I'll never talk about, that you'll never know about, unless we meet one-on-one, and maybe I'll tell a story. But I meet so many fabulous and inspirational people. It just blows me away. I met a couple young ladies in Romania. No, not like that. Get your head out of the gutter. But, they were just so inspirational. The things they have done and are doing, it's just like, I don't know what it is, but life seems to filter the best people, to you when you're happy and doing things that are fun and doing things that are exciting and, just being a good person and not a grumpy old man. And, I can still slip into that grumpy old man. I can still be a cantankerous ass. But 99% of the time, I have no desire to go there. And it's like you only go there when you feel obligated to stand up and say something like, hey, stop filming little girls and posting that shit online, right? Sometimes you got to do it. Sometimes it's just something you feel you have to do and you have to do. But, sorry, I love these birds because they're not scared of you. They will, growing up, birds always gave you, a good 30, 40 feet. These birds come right by you. Like, I had one in another city here that I thought they were going to fly through my legs because they were skimming the ground so low. I thought they were going to, if I stood still, they might fly through my legs. But anyway, yeah, I'll go sit down and I'll break the video here, go sit down, get my coffee, and I'll outline what I think is a really good starter plan for a first trip to the Philippines, a first trip abroad. And, you can take it, manipulate it, and play with it all you want. But in my experience, I think it will give, first-timers a really great perspective on what the world holds for them. if you want to get out of your chair, if you want to throw away that microwave. I'm telling you, throw the microwave away. Focus more on, your diet, and focus more on just being happy. It's really hard for me sometimes because I do all this work to plan and go here, and then it's like you just have to sit back and enjoy the ride at this point, right? Enjoy the ride. That's what life is about for me right now. It's just getting better, getting smarter, eating better, getting healthier, and enjoying the ride. So let me get over there and get my coffee. Live the dream and always get your breakfast. And if you have a hard time finding breakfast, maybe you should have just stayed home. But I can find breakfast anywhere in the world. Here it just happens to be a little better. Just saying.